One of the flipped classroom tools that I really like to use is called Zaption. And so I'm going to actually show you how Zaption works by having you use a Zaption lesson. So you can kind of get a sense of how it looks from the student end, and I'll show you how it looks on the teacher end. So Zaption is a program that allows you to take videos, mostly ones that are hosted on the internet, like YouTube or Vimeo, pretty specifically, or also videos that you can find on PBS, and create lessons out of them. It's really great because you can then just find lessons that are on YouTube already, or you can make a video of your own and then host it on YouTube to be able to use in a Zaption, which of course is what we're doing right now. Um, but also, Zaption is a freemium site, which means that you can totally use it for and pay nothing. But also, if you feel like you want a little bit more options, you can see there's a Try Pro up here, and there's a number of financing options that you can use to expand what it can do. But ultimately, the first thing you want to do is create an account. It's really great because you can connect it directly to your Google account without having to sign in or remember what a new password is, which is a problem that I have in my life. And then once you create an account, it'll jump you into this My Lessons page, where you can see all of the lessons that you have available, both ones that were created by you and ones that were shared with you from other people. But let's just jump right into it, and we'll create a new lesson. So you'll click this big plus sign, says create a new lesson, and the first thing that it'll do is jump you into selecting a video. Um, and generally, I just leave this part blank and do search because it opens up this even better search tool. And here's where you ultimately go through selecting what video you want. So usually what I'll do is I'll go to YouTube or I'll select a Vimeo, and then you can just put in any keywords you want and then just make a video out of that thing. Maybe you have a video that you've created yourself, or maybe you just know of a video online that you want to include. So I teach economics. I'm going to go ahead and put in interest rates for my search. And you can see over here a whole bunch of videos about interest rates all show up. And then you can select one that you want to see. Hopefully you have already picked a video that you want, but if you haven't, you can also just go ahead and click it and then play it in this little the side area over here to see if it's something that you want to watch or want to include. Well, either way, down here you can see that there's some information about the length of the video, views, when it was made. Really, the only one that's that important is the length, because that will, of course, be how long your lesson is. It'll be based on the length of the video itself. So let's go ahead and imagine that I've already seen this video, and I'm going to go ahead and click to add this video to lesson. It'll drop you in this next screen. And ultimately, you can see the top that is the option for you to add more than one clip. So let's say that I have this 1 minute and 29-second video, but also I have another video that talks about more interest rate stuff that I also want them to see as part of this lesson. I can go ahead and click add video, and it'll let me add another video that will just slide in right after this one, and then operate really as one single video/lesson. But really what makes Zaption awesome is not so much that you can interact with videos, because obviously you can just send your kids to YouTube to do that. But what it allows you to do is to pause the video at various points and then have your kids do an activity that allows them to think about it. So you'll first want to make sure that you're looking at your video for like a good stopping point, for these things to happen. And so you aren't just like ending stuff and having kids do an activity in the middle of the sentence of the video. But ultimately, once you find a place at which you would like the video to stop and then have kids consider something, you would move the video to that point, and you use this little sliding bar here just like you would in basically any sort of video software. You can move the sliding bar to the place where you want the video to pause. We'll stop it here. I've never seen this video, but we'll assume that I have. And then you have a number of activities you can have students do. You can have them do an open response. You can have them do a numerical response. You can have them do multiple choice. You can have them answer like with checkboxes. Or my personal favorite, you can have them do a drawing, which is really pretty cool. Let's go ahead and do what will probably be most common and do the open response and click this. And then it allows you to sort of drag it. It's really intuitive that way. And then it gives you two options. You can drag the element onto the left video pane, which will then like stop the video, blur it out, and then have your questions show up on top of the video. Or you can drop it into a sidebar, which leaves the video just like it is. The kids can see the frame right where it stopped, but it pops this little box over out onto the side and allows them to interact with it there. The sidebar is pretty cool if you want them to be able to still see the video and interact with something on that slide. But the downside is that the sidebar is really pretty small. So for now, let's go ahead and drop it onto the left pane, and it gives you this fairly simple editing piece here. You can see there's a lot of other complex things you can do. You can change like the opacity and how much it blanks out the video behind it. But most importantly, what it allows you to do is pop in a question that you will have students respond to. So let's say, who decides what interest rates will be? Obviously, I don't know if this video answers that question or not because I haven't actually watched it. Theoretically, you'll want to watch it in advance to know what questions you're asking and make sure that they fit. But basically, I just put in a question here and then it leaves it there. The students eventually, when they watch the video, it will appear a lot like this screen. They'll see this question, they can put in the answer. But on the teacher side, since we're making it, we can also click this scoring here too. So what it allows you to do is ultimately the Zaption itself will help score whatever students put in for their responses here. So then this allows you a little bit of flexibility for how to put in what the right answer will be. So who decides what interest rates will be? Obviously, the answer here, maybe it isn't obvious, whatever, is the Federal Reserve Bank. And that's an oversimplified answer, whatever. But it allows you to then put in the right answer and then say, do they have to say exactly Federal Reserve Bank? Is any answer except Federal Reserve Bank right? Does their answer simply have to contain Federal Reserve Bank, etc.? You can put the options for what it will qualify as the right answer. Then you can offer alternative answers, etc. We'll just say done for simplicity. And that's it. We're done with that thing. And then you can see wherever we move the video, it will still show wherever we're at, but then it leaves us this little bar here showing us where our question was. And then let's imagine here that later on we want to add in another thing to stop the video and have them do an activity. I want to have them do a drawn response. You can do this same thing where this one has to be drawn on the left, dropped on the left video panel. So we'll drop it, and then we can do our little prompt. We'll say, draw a guy thinking about the interest rates on his checking account. That seems like a silly question, but sometimes students respond to those sorts of things. So obviously, it's sort of hard to see. We'll go into element settings. I kind of want to move this over to the right sidebar. And then what it does over here is it allows the students, it gives them the question, and then it allows them to just draw a picture. So for students, this works really well for if you're wanting students to have like a different modality to do something, or if whatever you're doing lends itself better to drawing. But it allows a lot of options. But then what you can do now is you can see that the one that we just did, since in the sidebar, it dropped in the same thing to show us that we have a question, but it dropped it down further than the other one. You can see it's a little bit lower. That's how you know it's in a sidebar. So theoretically, you can have on the same point, you can have another task going on at the same time, on the right-hand page, and then, ask them a question or do whatever, and then you can have them doing two activities at once. Well, whatever. At any rate, you can preview the video, see how it goes. It'll give you the chance to try out the lesson, but let's just go ahead and publish it. And we'll say interest rates for our title because you want to give it a clever title, and you'll publish it. And then now this allows it to be an official lesson, and then it gives you a URL here that you can give directly to the students. Well, let's jump back into my lessons and see what happens on the back end of this. So ultimately, now we have this lesson, and then it has these options here. You can present it, so you can have it, you can present it to your class if you don't want all the kids to watch it themselves. You can play it, or you can look at analytics, and this is my favorite part. Let's look at another video that I've already created so you can see what that does. Let's look at loanable funds. So you look into analytics, and then you can see all of the students that have watched it and done stuff with it. You can see their names because it asks them to put in a name. You can see when they saw it. You can see how long they've watched it, which is really super handy to get a sense of whether or not people are actually doing their lessons. You can see how many responses they submitted. So you can see that I put in 3 questions in this video, and this person, which is me, whatever, answered none of them. and you can see that I only started the video once. So another thing that you can do